and we're here with the infamous Mr. Bo Gritz, and I welcome you to this event and would like to ask you to let the people know exactly what you were in the Vietnam. What was your connection? How you became so today, where this will lead to?
Well, I went to Vietnam because that's where the government said we should be, and I thought we were there to win the war. Found out rapidly we were not. That was 1964. I didn't come home until 1969. I commanded Special Forces Latin America. I've been a Chief of Congressional Relations in the Office Secretary of Defense, on the Army General Staff. I left the uniform in 1979 in order to go in pursuit of U.S. prisoners of war at the request of the intelligence agency. I worked with H. Ross Perot toward that end, and in accomplishing that, I've trained Afghans, been an advisor in Saudi Arabia. I guess my road to Damascus, like Saul was on when he was struck by the Lord, was in Burma. When I came out of Burma in 1987, I had videotape of U.S. government officials involved in illegal narcotics trafficking from the White House and other high executive branch officials. And I was told to erase and forget, or I would hurt the government. Of all the one-liners, I guess that one probably opened my eyes more than any other. Otherwise, my whole life, I've just wanted to wear the uniform of the United States.
From what I understand, you were the most
it.
highly decorated soldier in Vietnam.
Well, I was successful in those undertakings that were important at the time. But it did awaken me. I saw what was going on. And so since then, I've been on the other side, because my oath was the same one Ollie North took, except it was not to lie, shred, or to cover up. So I basically told them to stick it up their kilt when they threatened me with 15 years imprisonment. They did, however, right here. They failed to indict me in Oklahoma City for training Afghan. They failed to indict me in Los Angeles for violation of the Neutrality Act. But here in Las Vegas, I was indicted for using false passports. It's a weenie charge. I've used false passports all my adult life. As a Special Forces operative, I was acquitted in 1989, and use another false passport to go right back over and continue to gain information on what's going on in the government. I ran for President of the United States in 1992, and in 1993 began what I call spike training, specially prepared individuals for key events. The purpose for running for president was to bear a testimony of the Constitution, to let people know in all 50 states, even though it was obvious we could not win against the Republicans, that by following the Constitution, we could get the nation back on track before we went like a barrel over Niagara Falls. Seeing which way it's going, we started spike training so that people would have an option, an alternative, so they could live in spite of an oppressive government if that was their desire. You cannot just all of a sudden say, no, I'm getting off the world, stop, I'll get back on someplace else. You have to be prepared. And it takes about 3 years of preparation. We give spike training in 10 cities across America. Matter of fact, today I've just come from Los Angeles, and the next spike will occur in Idaho Falls and Salt Lake City, and we go all the way to Jacksonville, Florida. In addition to training people, we have prepared covenant communities that have gotten a lot of attention in the media. Up in Idaho, I'm terribly misquoted. They say Bo Gritz says Armageddon will occur in 1996 in Idaho. That's bullshit. Armageddon, very clearly in Revelation 16:16, will occur outside the city of Jerusalem along the Jordan River. When? Nobody knows. You'd be a fool to say, because no person knoweth the hour, not even the angels of heaven, but only our Father. But it is certainly on the way. You read the Las Vegas newspaper today, the LA Times, Washington Times, like reading prophecy being fulfilled. So I think the reason that we're catching so much flack about covenant communities is because we're on target. And if the covenant community concept catches on in America, it means basically they can take the New World Order and stuff it, because people will be able, be capable, be prepared and equipped and organized to live in spite of the government. If the government wants to continue under the Constitution or restore the Constitution, wonderful. But if it doesn't, then let Washington District of Criminals, 10 square miles up there in D.C., let them go ahead and do what they will. We'll just continue to live under the Constitution. So I believe that we're basically set. My whole purpose is to give people a choice, let them use their free agency. Joshua said it best, choose this day who you will follow. But I think that you're going to need an ark in the time of Noah, and I believe our covenant communities are such a refuge. I think as a bottom line, there are two ways America can go. And it's kind of exciting considering what happened in November. It's almost like God has given America a second chance.
A reprieve. Yeah.
Sure, but will we deserve it? And we'll get what we deserve, I can guarantee you. But if you will not heed 2 Chronicles chapter 7, where God gives us the promise He will heal our land if we will simply accept Him as our Father, then you have to go to 2 Corinthians chapter 6, where it says simply, come out from them and be ye separate, and touch not the unclean thing, and allow God to be our Father. And so we're prepared to go either way. And I think it's nice to be prepared. And so here I am, and by December of 1995, I will complete my promise to have those who choose as ready as Delta Force, and with a place to go. They can go anywhere, the Ozarks, Florida, New York. But those who are desiring to come up to Idaho will certainly have a ark they can board.
So it's not closed to certain people, or
No, of course not.
like the media
Well,
purports?
I would say that it is closed to certain people. You have to be a legal American. I support 187 of California. But if you're an American, regardless of the color of your eyes, your hide, which way your persuasion is, religiously speaking, makes no difference. As Americans, we'd better be a family. We better stand together, or simply stated, we'll deserve what we fell for. So anyone can come to Idaho, to the covenant communities, and many people are.
Well, this event that we're putting on is, the title of it's The Constitution versus the New World Order. And there's nobody here more to explain to the people about the New World Order and the Constitution than you.
Well, you've had some excellent speakers as we were reviewing them, and having Richard Mack here, see, there's 3,200 counties, and he's only one sheriff. Unfortunately, if we had 3,199 like him, we wouldn't probably have to assemble. We could just let the sheriffs who understand the Constitution do it, because they could. But Richard Mack's the exception. That's why you've got him here. Jack McLam, of course, is a wonderful guy. What he's doing with Vampire Killer 2000 and educating National Guardsmen and police is outstanding. Tyranny never knocks unless it's wearing a badge. Right. And today the badges, I'd been saying that the only difference between the police today and the Gestapo and the Schutzstaff of World War II, they wear black helmets, they wear black uniforms, they carry MP German submachine guns, but the Schutzstaff wore SS lightning bolts on their collar, and our police wear gold badges. But as of the Dallas Morning News here about a month ago, they said SS patches inappropriate here, and there's a picture of a Dallas SWAT squad policeman wearing his ski mask with his German helmet and his machine gun, his black uniform, and SS on his epaulets. So maybe we've come the full circle.
Maybe we have.
I think the Fuhrer would be happy if he were alive today.
Well, let's hope we can dissuade it by educating and informing the people and giving them a choice.
Appreciate what you're doing.
And we welcome you here, and thank you.
Thank you.